Come home in the morning like mama. This is when you gonna live your life right. Oh, mother dear, we're not the fortunate ones. And girls, they wanna have fun. Oh, girls just wanna have fun. The phone rings in the middle of the night. My father yells, "What you gonna do with your life?" Oh, daddy, dear, you know you're still number one. But girls, they wanna have fun. Oh, girls just wanna have fun. That's all they really want. Some fun. When the working day is done, oh girls, they wanna have fun. Oh, girls just wanna have fun. Some boys take a beautiful girl and hide her away from the rest of the world. I wanna be the one to walk in the sun, but girls, they wanna have fun. Oh, girls just wanna have fun. That's all they really want. Some fun. When the working day is done, oh girl, they wanna have fun. Oh, girls just wanna have fun. They just wanna, oh, they just wanna, they just wanna, oh, they just wanna, they just wanna, oh, girls, they wanna have fun. Oh, girls just wanna have fun. Dad, look at me. Think back and talk to me. Did I grow up according to plan? And do you think I'm wasting my time doing things I wanna do? But it hurts when you disapprove all along. And now I try hard to make it. I just wanna make you proud. A man gotta be good enough for you. Can't pretend that I'm alright. And you can't change me 'cause we lost it all. Nothing lasts forever. Sorry, I can't be perfect. Now it's just too late, and we can't go back. I'm sorry, can't be perfect. I try not to think about the pain I feel inside. Did you know you used to be my hero? All the days you spent with me now seem so far away, and it feels like you don't care.
Elphaba, why couldn't you stay calm for once instead of flying off the handle? I hope you're happy. I hope you're happy now. I hope you're happy how you hurt your paws forever. I hope you think you're clever. I hope you're happy. I hope you're happy too. I hope you're proud how you would grovel in submission to feed your own ambition. Sabo, I can't imagine how. I hope you're happy right now. Elfie, listen to me. Just say you're sorry. Or you can have all you ever wanted. And wanted playing by the rules of someone else's game. Too late for second guessing. Too late to go back to sleep. It's time to trust my instincts. Close my eyes and leave. It's time to try to defy gravity. And try to fight gravity, and you can't pull me down. Can't I make you understand? You're having delusions of grandeur through accepting limits. 'Cause someone says they're so. Some things I cannot change, but till I try, I'll never know. Too long I've been afraid of losing love, I guess I was. Well, if that's love, it comes that much too high. I feel alright to fall in gravity. Kiss me goodbye, I'm defying gravity, and you can't pull me down. Linda.
Some people are having a hard time getting in. The link. Just do a meeting Shouldn't be doing that. I wonder if other people are having a hard time. Oh, the waiting room. I didn't even notice there was a waiting room. We still have a few minutes. I'm just letting people in gradually.
I love those pictures behind you. They're so cute.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I'm hoping tonight will just be a good night to listen and hear some things from the case manager that's going to be speaking. And then maybe we can all ask a few questions if that case manager is willing to answer some questions. But mostly we want to allow this case manager to stay anonymous for now. They're not ready to say their name and stuff like that, but at least we can get them on. They can tell us about things that are going on, and when they're ready to, when they give me permission. I know who the caseworker is, but I'm not going to reveal their information. But when they're ready, they can say their name and provide the information. But
For tonight, they're just going to come on, talk about everything going on, and be willing to answer some of our questions tonight. So I think it'll be a good, unique opportunity. I'm not the only foster parent on. There's another foster parent on, and we have some biological parents on, and then we'll have a caseworker. The only thing that would have made it better is if we had a guardian ad litem on, but that would be pretty hard to get a guardian ad litem on, but maybe not. Maybe not.
No, I don't think so. We're on that avenue.
But I know one guardian ad litem that I might be able to get joined next time. I'm on pretty good terms with that guardian ad litem. They haven't excommunicated me yet, so I might be able to get that particular. And I've been messaging as of the last 5 minutes with the case manager, just like, come on, please do it. You know, the case manager's a little nervous, so I'm like, come on, show up, you can do it. So hopefully, I'm pretty sure she's gonna show up. Getting the nerves together to do it. And I'm gonna make sure no one's in the waiting room, because I didn't even notice people were in the waiting room until I looked. So let's see here.
Yeah, and the link's acting kind of funny, so.
Interesting. So we're just waiting on the case manager. I'm a little nervous and excited to hear this case manager speak, because it's very rare that you ever find a case manager that's willing to actually publicly speak about something. I haven't experienced that before, so this will be very, very interesting.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm actually like, because it could mean a lot. So
Absolutely.
just kind of waiting right now. Literally 4 minutes ago, this case manager said they were about to log in. So I've actually, I think about 2 years ago, I started speaking with this case manager about a couple of things. And yeah, I think in the beginning, this case manager thought, no, these things can't be happening. But as this case manager started looking more into things, and especially with the recent changes in Hillsborough County with the new agency, everything I've been telling this case manager, they're like, yeah, it's there. So this case manager is ready to flow. And I want to hear it.
So I'm happy she's willing to acknowledge it and then also speak about it. That's where it all begins, and it can potentially create a domino effect to, make great change in the work environment, the environment for the children, and for the bios.
Absolutely. That's the hope. Children, families, making change that's going to impact and do things in our community. So that's the hope. So I'm just waiting on 8:01 right now. And I'm checking my waiting room. Right. The caseworker, case manager wanted to make sure there's a couple of foster parents aren't on here that she knows. And I said, no, those foster parents are not on here. Yes, those foster parents will be able to know who she is. So I said, no, they're not on here. I don't want to talk. I'm not really trying to chat about anything else, because the main thing I want to do is chat with this case manager. And I just want her to get on here so we can start talking, hear what she has to say. It's a lot. And so, come on. I've never been so eager for something. Well, except for exam time. I'm impatient waiting on my exam results, but from my law professor. But other than that, I'm very eager to come on, get on here. 8:03. I wanted you to be on here at 7:55. But here it is. Here is Jane. She's gonna be called Jane Doe. All right. All right, so we have Jane joining us, everybody. And if you're not speaking, if you can mute, that would be great. Just want to thank this case manager for taking the time to come on tonight and speak with us about some of the things going on. And if time permits, and if the case manager is willing, we'll like to ask a couple of questions, but definitely appreciate Jane coming in tonight to speak with us, foster parents, biological parents, and giving us some information about what's going on so we can try to figure out how to solve issues and make the entire foster care system better. So with that being said, Jane, I'll let you take it away. And I think you're on mute. And you might have to, because I know, there you go.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. How are you doing?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I am well. I'm excited that you joined, and I appreciate you coming on and speaking with us.
So I guess it would be easier to start off with questions then we can go into a more in-depth conversation.
Okay, sure. Well, what I'll do is I'll let other people start first before I dig into a question, but I'll go around who's on the meeting and let them ask a question. Amber, if you want to unmute, you can ask your question first.
Yes, so I just want to say, Jane, thank you for coming on. It's a great opportunity to sit here and be able to talk to you. And I guess my question is, what is it that you see and what made you come forth?
One second, Josh. It's going in and out. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to fix my internet. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, it keeps freezing. Give me 1 second. So the question was, what is it that case management sees that's going on, or?
I was just kind of like what you see every day as far as things that, are not supposed to be happening, and what made you decide to start speaking?
There's a lot of things that's going on. And I'm in this field for a reason. It's not for friends or to gain popularity. I'm here for the kids. And there's a lot of things that I feel like need to be brought up. There's things that are just being done that it's prolonging permanency, it's stopping permanency. It's making these cases drag out a lot longer. And I mean, one obviously is what we all know is case management. Our caseloads are extremely high. Our time is limited. We are tied down to 40 hours a week right now. With that being said, there's only so much we can do. So when we're going close to 40 kids and only having 40 hours a week, that's pretty much giving a kiddo not even an hour or so. I mean, and that's including court visits, speaking with bio, speaking with foster, speaking with, providers, and that's also including on-call and transport. So situations like that, kids getting picked up from school and pretty much just riding around in the car for hours until placement's ready to accept them. This can sometimes be 9, 10 o'clock. And again, this is a kiddo that's 5, 6, 7 years old. I see this all the time. That alone is ridiculous. When the kids beg, please don't drop me off. Please don't take me. This one child stated, oh, I get out of school at 1:55, but my foster placement doesn't want to take me until 9 o'clock. So that child has to sit at usual right around in the car, or, you know, go with the transporters and go pick up the other kids, and pretty much just riding around in the car for, you know, the time being until their placement's ready to take them. Sometimes they will go to, I don't even know what we would call this place. It is a house, and they would sit there, but that place and the environment alone is not somewhere kids should be. What else is there? Josh, is something else that there's just so much. Is there something that I might have missed?
No, I think that was good, Jane, and thank you for giving that information. A couple of questions I would have about that is how well, one is how can you even reach all the children in your caseload if you have 40 and 40 hours? And then two, what are the reasons why you think placement is an issue for getting these children to a particular home without having to be in transport for a long period of time?
That's a great question. I'm still trying to figure that out. The 40 kids, 40 hours. I have some kiddos that I haven't even seen before on my caseload. And it's not because I'm a crappy case manager or because I don't care. I mean, if I didn't care, I wouldn't be here talking to you guys tonight. It's simply because, I mean, look at how much time we spend. The other day I sat in the courtroom for 4 hours. That's 4 hours that I just spent there. And so it leaves me with 36 hours. Still had to do home visits, still have to do on call. So a lot of times, you know, when case managers are coming to court and we're not able to do the home visits, a lot of times home visits are where we get a lot of information from, or we kind of catch up on the cases, catch up with either the caregivers, the foster parents, files, whoever. But when we don't have that much time anymore, this whole 40-hour thing came into place about 2 months ago, shortly after this agency came in and took over. And so it's just things been getting harder and harder with, especially with this new agency. And then honestly, I can't answer that as far as placement. I know that we have more kids coming in than we have an actual place to place them. Sometimes, I mean, for that particular situation, this foster home would only accept kiddos up to 7. And it just so happened the sister's 10. And so she had to wait to go to another home because they wouldn't accept her there.
Hold
We
on.
see
So
that a lot.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Jen. Are you saying that it was a sibling group and they took some of the siblings and didn't take the older child?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah, we'll see that a lot. That is traumatizing alone. The 5-year-old, she would bawl down on her knees and scream and say her stomach hurt, but that was her way of saying, I don't want my sister to leave. Remind you, they just came into care, first time in care. Both parents were incarcerated. And so they just want their sister. And so actually, when I went to go pick them up for school the other day, the first thing they asked was, where's my sister? These kids are scared to death. They shouldn't be going through this nonsense. And then to make matters worse, when I went to go pick up the kiddo last week, the 10-year-old, she's dragging her duffel bag around. She took it to school 2-3 times in a row. And she says, do you know how embarrassing this is? What could I say? I'm so sorry, sweetie. I can only imagine as a 10-year-old with 2 duffel bags, you're basically carrying whatever little belongings you have and taking it to school, and then waiting for another placement to accept her that night, not knowing where she's going to lay her head. that's extremely traumatizing. So by the time they come to an actually decent home, you'll see a lot of their behaviors. And a lot of times people don't understand, but they don't stop to think, okay, what did this kiddo just go through? And so I honestly don't know the fix to that, but I see it all the time. And I think that alone is extremely traumatizing for the kids. I mean, they're so excited to see their siblings in the morning. It's awful.
Yeah, that's just horrible all around. And especially me I have 4 siblings and I couldn't imagine being separated from them at that age. Is there like the relationship between case manager and CPI when the child's initially removed? Is there like some sort of diligent search for family members or something that goes on?
So the CPIs usually do that part. They're usually supposed to. Sometimes I don't know really what happens when they do. So by the time the case comes to case management, the child's already placed somewhere. So the CPI has already done X, Y, and Z. And so case management's pretty much just, hey, this is the case. Here's the parents. This is caregiver. This is where the kids stay. Have at it. This is what's going on. This is what we recommend. And, case management, it will listen to why they came in and, put in, maybe we'll think, we'll try to suggest maybe a psychological, psychiatric, especially, depending on what they came in for. But other than, that, no, we don't get to decide placements or anything. Matter of fact, CPIs, they can run backgrounds within an instant. When it comes to case management and we're trying to run backgrounds, that's a good 3 to 4 weeks wait, because we don't have access to that. And then on top of that, I believe they had to do fingerprints and whatnot. And so getting those kiddos placement sometimes can take a long time.
So CPI can like do an instant background to get a child to a family member, but case management, it takes you guys a longer period of time to run that background.
Correct, because they have access to, what is it? The NC, is it the Florida? I can't remember what it's called, but all the backgrounds and stuff to make sure that the kiddos are being placed in a decent home, in which that's not always the case either. Sometimes they're placed in worse places and they got removed from, but that's a whole nother story. But yes, they do have the ability to run backgrounds in an instant versus us. Because again, a lot of times it's with the sheriff's department. So, I mean, that's at the tip of their fingers.
Right, definitely. So I guess one of my questions is typically with transporting the children that are looking for placement on night to night, is that typically like a 1 to 2 day thing? Or do you see where kids are more than a week or longer than that on night to night or needing transport?
Depending on, honestly, depending on the kiddo's background, I've had some kiddos, go, sometimes I've heard of placements like taking them and they'll keep them on like night to night, but they'll continue to keep them. I never really understood that purpose or what the reason behind that. But even with that, kids still know they're night to night. They still don't know if that's where they're going to be going that day. And so really it's up to the placement and if they want to accept that child again. I've had a kiddo on night to night she stayed at the same placement for, I want to say maybe a month and a half or so. But the whole time she was labeled as like night to night.
So like, were you having to like pick up and drop off to that same home for over a month and a half?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay, that doesn't even make sense to me. Did they accept her as a permanent placement, or it just went on?
No, I actually just reunified her with mom yesterday. And she is starting Monday. Her and her 2 siblings will be going back with mom. And this was a case that's been like 3 years, and we were supposed to go for a TPR in 2 months, but I fought, and because a lot of these cases aren't TPR, regardless of how people feel. I mean, some cases there are, you know, it's in the kid's best interest, but with a kiddo that, I think she was 11, another one was 8, they clearly know who mom is, and she wasn't a bad person. She just made some, you know, bad decisions. But until that kiddo was, until she goes back with mom on Monday, she's still able to place or night to night. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So, but after 3 years with some advocating on your part, they're able to get reunited with their biological parents, their mom.
Yes, it was, we didn't see it at first, but you know, it took a lot of talking to mom and just letting them know that we're trying to keep the family together. Because obviously with TPR, those kids would have been traumatized for the rest of their lives. Mom will keep the caregiver in their lives. She'll be a part of their family. You know, it's just one big family, and you know, it's what I really wanted to see.
Is that typically what you see, or is it typically reunification happening like that, or is it more so TPRs?
It all depends. A lot of times, sometimes I feel like parents do get more chances than they should. And when I say that, I mean, I have another case that's going on 4 years. And we are going to trial for TPR. This is extremely hard because this kiddo is 9 years old and she loves her mommy to death. Mom just struggles with addiction. She is clean now. She's been doing hair follicles, but when it comes to this point, it's really hard to try to convince everybody when it's almost been 4 years, and this child's been to at least 5 or 6 different homes. But it really all depends. I've seen, so I haven't seen any TPR cases that weren't, you know, it's like babies, like parents that haven't. I had one kiddo, this mom, she just dropped him off at the hospital and didn't want anything to do with the baby. But that was a safe place, and the baby was 2 months old. And so mom, she tried to fight the TPR after, I don't know, like 9 months, and then she ended up surrendering. So I haven't really seen any TPR cases that weren't, I guess, you know, supposed to be TPR, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We
Definitely.
try. I know I do. I try, and sometimes it's just the parents. Sometimes their addictions overtake them. I mean,
what do you know of? I'm curious about like adoption versus permanent guardianship. Is there reasons why like adoptions push more than permanent guardianship?
that's a good question. I've seen both. A lot of times with adoption, the younger the child, they try to push for adoption because I can't remember why. I guess, but more of a permanent, more family-like situation per se. I mean, I have a couple kiddos on my caseload that's going for PG. They're with maternal aunt. They've been with her for 3 years, and she doesn't, because the kids still have a relationship with their mom. She doesn't want to adopt them. Just obviously mom can't make decisions, and she can't, you know, obviously take care of them by herself. So the aunt is going to take permanent guard, which means that mom can still come around, and they can work out visits or whatnot. But a lot of times they will push for TPR, or I'm sorry, adoptions when it's like a baby or even a toddler. Because a lot of times the family that they're with, that's all they know.
Right. And that brings another question. Why isn't there like more of like a jumping on of finding like biological family? Or maybe it's because from what I see, it doesn't appear like family is diligently searched as much as they should be. Like, what I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on that.
So as far as like That would be a really, really, really good question for the adoption side, only because once case management, so we mainly work with the parents and their case plan tests. Once I've seen some really ugly cases that's gone to adoptions, and there's this one baby, matter of fact, it was my first case, the one that the mom took to the hospital. The baby was with the foster family for almost a year, and the family finding, they found a family in Pennsylvania. And so since that lady had adopted the baby's brothers, they decided that it was best for the baby to go to Pennsylvania. I think that was more traumatizing than anything for that particular situation, and also for that family. I mean, there was an incredible foster family, and they really wanted the mom to get herself together so she can have the baby. She didn't want to see mom lose that baby. She had a lot of hope, and it didn't work out that way. When the case went to adoptions, they found that baby's adoptive or the adoptive mom for the other kiddos, and so that's where he went. And you know, it was really unfortunate. But family finding, I really can't speak much on that because I really don't know how adoptions goes by that. I know when it comes to like transferring the case, sometimes we will look out for family members. Case management we can explore other people, especially if the foster parents or caregivers know of a family member or whatnot. Definitely, we can put in the background, we could explore it. Absolutely, there's no reason why we couldn't. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to family, I mean, at least the child's in some type of, in the family somehow, some way. But as far as, I don't know how they make that decision, whether they're going to go with family, because just like that little kid, or that baby that went to Pennsylvania, he had family here. I mean, he had like 6 or 7 brothers in Tampa. So I'm not sure how they came to that conclusion of sending the child all the way to Pennsylvania. That was
Instead, that child had family here, adult family here.
He used to see his baby brother, or it wasn't so much a baby brother, but he used to see his brother. I think the brother's like 7 or 8, and so his dad would bring him to the foster family's home to visit his baby brother, and they were doing visits and everything. And then what happened was this family that had his older brother had hired an attorney, and the attorney pretty much fought it in court, and the judge said, okay, well, he's going to Pennsylvania. So the baby had pretty much 2 weeks to get associated with these people. And I could tell you right now, that was not a good family whatsoever. The message that she had sent, she cursed out the foster mom and told her she'll never see that baby again. And she never heard from that lady again. There's no telling how that child's doing. I pray he's doing good, but it shouldn't be like that.
Now, the person in Pennsylvania is related by blood, or they're not?
No, just some random person that I think she fostered here before, and she adopted the brother a few years ago, and she found out about this baby, and then she hired a private attorney, and things went downhill from there.
Wow, interesting. And I want to let a couple other people ask questions, but let me get one last thing out that I wanted to ask you about. What is it that you would like to see differently from foster parents? What could we foster parents do more of, you think, to help case management?
Our biggest thing right now is it's transporting. And I know that foster parents obviously have a lot of stuff going on themselves, but when case management has to, I mean, we have to go out at 6 o'clock in the morning and pick up these kiddos and then drive from, I don't know, let's just say, Waimama or something to Tampa, and the kiddos a lot of times, I can't tell you how many times kiddos will end up like getting sick in the car because they're riding around. And they're just exposed to so much because in that same vehicle, we'll be getting, you know, teenagers and a lot of older kids. And so these younger kids are exposed to way too much. And not only that, but it was shocking to me the other day when I picked up this kiddo, the foster parent was so relieved that I had a car seat for this child. Remind you, this child was 4 and 5, and they said whoever, whether a transporter or case manager that came to pick up that child, wasn't even properly transporting them. And it basically just, hey, Johnny, get in the car. You know, so I mean, as a foster parent, it would help a lot with, you know, just transporting and it's not so much for case management, it's for the kids. Because the kids go through a lot. You know, you have some kids that are scared to death, just came into care, really don't know what to think. They're separated from siblings, and then they got this rowdy teenager that's F this, F that, and whatever else that's going on. And so it's just more trauma, adding more trauma, and more. And then by the time they get to you guys' house, they're like, holy Jesus, what happened?
Okay, yep, definitely. I don't want to hog up I know your time is short, so let me, LG 6, if you have a question for Jane.
I see it says, if I ever experienced biological families done everything required and the bar gets changed. A lot of times, I mean, I can't speak for all the cases. I've seen some situations where parents have done, a perfect example, I have a case right now, mom's done everything she needed to do on her case plan. However, the case originally came in for DV. And we were right about to reunify these kiddos. Just so happened we pulled the backgrounds and come to find out well, obviously we find that dad was arrested 6 months ago for trafficking over 14 grams of fentanyl. And then mom, a couple months prior to that, mom had a DV incident with him where the ambulance had to get called and stuff. So again, even though, you know, both of the parents did everything they were supposed to on the case plan, their behavior hasn't changed. It's still not safe. There was a case that came in court today. They were supposed to get reunified. However, right before reunification, the parents, I guess they got into some disagreement and it messed up their whole case. I mean, they weren't reunified. The case just kind of got extended and, you know, pushed back. We'll come back another court date and see, you know, so just dragging on at this point. As far as, so really, I mean, I've seen cases where parents or the families have done everything they're supposed to do, but 9 times out of 10, there's usually a good indicator, good reason. And like I said, I can't speak for everybody's cases. But I know for my particular cases, even though the parents have completed everything on their case plan, their behavior hasn't changed. Whether that's, you know, slipping up on a drug screens and again, we all make mistakes. I've had some families that came out and told me, hey, you know, I just want to let you know I relapsed. Okay, well, guess what? We're going to go get treatment and, you know, go through this whole situation again, because if I ignored it, what kind of case manager would I be? But then again, I didn't want her to get pushed back more, because not all parents will come clean to, I mean, depending on your relationship with them or how they feel. But you know, obviously I wouldn't make that decision right now to reunify, knowing what I know. I'm getting her treatment. She's clean now and she's still testing, but no, I haven't really seen any cases where the family has honestly done everything and there's no reason. I'm sure it happens. Trust me, I'm sure it happens all the time because I said we all see a lot of crooked stuff in this field. But I know for my part, it's usually the parents that did something and, you know, it just either they got, the judges get tired of keep coming back to court. So they start looking for a different case plan goal, or they'll continue to give the parent chances. But it all depends on the length of the case and who's working the case and what's going on with the case. But I'm 100% sure that's happened.
And that brings me to another question I just thought of. Do you think parents, biological parents, would benefit from like a advocate, like a guardian ad litem type person for them?
Absolutely. Yes, they have I think they have those in other states that I've done this at, and um absolutely they will, because sometimes it's like the parent's word. When this parent gets in front of this judge, and after, I mean, let's face it, after the judge reads whatever, the case says, especially if the parent has extensive history of drug abuse or their criminal history or whatever, um, obviously the judge is going to look at them different, or and everybody else in the courtroom and that's dealing with the case. And so if they had just like the kids have a guardian ad litem, it's like another person that can put their bias aside and kind of speak up for the parent, like, because not all case managers will speak up for the parents. And sometimes it's a personal thing, and sometimes it's best for the kiddos. I know I've tried hard with my parents, and I mean, I know if I have one that, and I won't chase the parent. I mean, I had one, the last time she saw her kiddo was in April. The baby's like 9 months old now. At first I tried and tried and tried to get her to work the case plan, but she has 5 other kiddos that she gave up. So you kind of know, and you don't want to go into the case thinking that, but after a few months and the mom's just MIA, and then you find her incarcerated, and then when she gets out, she might talk to you. Cases like that, at some point, it's TPR. That's a perfect TPR situation, honestly. Just because, and again, I've tried to help mom. I've sent her referrals every single month since I've had her case open. Even sent her referrals when she was incarcerated to try to get some, halfway ahead of her case plan. But unfortunately, doesn't look like that's gonna happen.
So probably that, and I do see that LG has their hand raised. I'm just gonna follow up real quick. So probably what I was thinking about a advocate similar to like a guardian ad litem, someone that's actually working with the like hand holding, right? To educate the biological parents in a certain way. Cause I know caseworkers, you guys have a lot of cases and you can't per se do the hand holding. You don't really have a lot of time to do that anyway. So I do think a advocate specifically for the biological parents would be extremely helpful for a lot of these cases, and especially when we're dealing with poverty, needing financial education, even just academic education. All those different things play into reasons why people may end up having their parental rights terminated.
Yeah, some parents can't read or write, so how can they do services?
Exactly. LG, you had your hand raised?
Yes, Mark, I just wanted to touch base on what you just said, because I had a situation when I was a guardian ad litem where the mom has developmental disabilities. And as you know, from my case, my daughter has developmental disabilities, and the CPS worker went after them because of the developmental disability and is using a past domestic violence situation, which is over 12 years old, that didn't have anything to do with my daughter, that just got recently brought up. So what can a biological family do that is past that to get the social workers or the powers that be to understand that's old history and we have nothing present? And she has a developmental disability, but they will not allow her an advocate.
Oh, wow, that's awful. I've seen a lot of advocates for some parents that have developmental disabilities. That's a hard question. So she has a case plan, or is it still in investigations?
She is in a case plan. She has taken all of the parental classes. She has done everything. Basically, the situation that occurred was that we had some issues where there was water issues and a bug infestation. Somebody who she did not get along with kept making a lot of reports to CPS. When the CPS worker did arrive, it was somebody from my past, which we did not get along. And basically she escalated it to, I'm sorry, she's got some kind of issue mentally. We want to have her evaluated. So she went through the evaluations. We already told her that she had a learning disability, which was pretty severe. And I was the one that was her advocate and holding her hand mostly through her life. And basically, they took the kids on that score, and they would not allow anybody to advocate for her. She had to go through all the system by herself.
That's off. You mean through the system as in like working services?
She had to not only do the services, she had to go through the court proceedings. She was not allowed anybody, even though she has a developmental disability, to read the paperwork for her,
Oh,
explain
that's
things.
awful.
Right now we're in a process. They offered to give us 3 children out of the 4 back, but they want to hold the other one because he also has a developmental disability. And they're saying that she's not going to be able to take care of him, which is not the truth, because I'm a special education certified teacher, as well as a former guardian ad litem.
Yeah, so there's, I mean, from listening to what you're saying, I don't understand why, for one, they wouldn't let anybody advocate for her. So no one was able to speak for her in court or, I mean, assist her with. Because I mean, I have a parent that can't read or write, and a lot of times his mom does speak up in court and help him, and she'll be the first one to say, "Hey, I'm sorry, he can't read and he can't write, so I'm mom and I'm gonna help him." And I mean,
They pretty much silenced me. They won't let me have a voice because they were living with me when they were removed. That's at least that's the excuse I'm being given. So I'm trying to find out a diplomatic way to be able to get my voice heard in the court and to advocate for my daughter, who I have been fighting for since the day she was born.
that's I'll definitely look into, because it seems like there would be an advocate just for you know,
Children with disabilities.
yes, exactly. And her, so her attorney's, I'm assuming, not assisting at all.
No, he's a court-appointed attorney, and he's does do things, but we've had 4 social workers quit. They keep transferring my grandson, who also has the issue, some developmental. He has ADD and oppositional behavior disorder, and they're moving him around. He's already been in 3, going into 4 foster homes in less than 6 months. And he's 5. He just turned 6.
That's awful. I'm so sorry to hear that. And the more homes he goes to, is the more the trauma's
More
gonna
trauma
build
we
up.
have.
Yes,
And every-
absolutely. And I don't, because I know we're kind of short on time, and I definitely
Thank
appreciate.
you. I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. That's perfectly fine. I'm sorry, but I want to try to give some of the other people chances to ask questions. Amanda Foster, do you have a question that you wanted to ask?
I don't know if I necessarily have a question. I was just going to say, as far as when they were talking about moving the child to, what was it, Pennsylvania, I do know that if there is a child that has been adopted and then another child is born, they will look at the adoptive parents as a form of reunification, because they have one of the biological siblings. And that's why I have our daughter's siblings, and they are considering our home a form of reunification for the kids, because we have the youngest sibling, because we had adopted her. And then with the night to night thing for the kids, we did night to night for a little while, but it was only because what we had open in our home was a pull-out couch. So it was placement. We were willing to take this child and, long term, like he could come home after school and have dinner and all that. I wanted to transport him to and from school and everything, but placement would not let me because they could not put me down as what was considered long term because they can't use a pull-out couch as a bed. So they'll let that child drive for hours and hours and hours until 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night when they have no other choice. And then the couch is acceptable because, well, now we have no other choice. And they were calling me sometimes at midnight with this 15-year-old boy. Can you take him and we'll pick him up at 6 a.m. And they were dropping him off to me sometimes 1 a.m.
Oh, absolutely.
He'd get 5 hours of sleep and he would leave in the morning at like 6 a.m. And I wouldn't see him until the next night, until like midnight. And I kept telling them, just bring him to me after school. I'll take him. Don't drive him around. Tell me what school he's at. I will go get him and pick him up. He can come home. He can have dinner, have a shower, have some
Absolutely.
normalcy. And they wouldn't let me. And he was 15 and he was 12 when he entered the system. So you're talking 3 years.
3 years. Yeah.
3
And
years
it's just,
of him just bouncing around.
it's horrible. I mean, when you see a picture of a kiddo in a black garbage bag, that's literally
That's
what
it.
it is a kiddo in a
And
black garbage bag. And depending on who's dealing with him that day, he might get spoke to, he might not, depending on the transporter or the case manager. It's hard. It's hard, and I guess in all aspects. But it's so much harder on these kids because it almost feels like, the little girl told me last week, she says, nobody wants me. Nobody wants to take me in. I don't know why they don't want me. So I just had to keep going to these homes. I
A
had to
child
look
that you're
the other way.
transporting?
Yes.
Wow.
I had to look the other way and I couldn't help it but have tears come down my eyes. It's like, how can a child, think like this? But then again, look at what they're going through. I mean, this kiddo told me everything, why she came into care, what her parents did. She was at a relative's, things just, spiraled on down. But when it came to placement, she said, they just don't want me. I don't know why nobody wants me. And so it's horrible. She had to go to placement. I actually called placement myself when because I wasn't scheduled to drop her off, I think until like 7:30. It was 6:30. This kiddo's been out of school. I don't know where she was, or she was at daycare prior to me picking her up. And instead of driving around, I called placement and asked them, are you home? Are you willing to take her? And she said, yes, drop her off. My husband's home. Great. Because that's one less hour that kiddo has to sit in the car. And it's honestly one less hour the case manager has to sit out in her car because, again, we've been on the road usually all day. A lot of times when we're having court hearings, we're driving. When we're having staffings, we're driving. And it's extremely dangerous. But then again, I mean, sometimes we don't have no choice. I've been in staffings where it's, I get calls, hey, join the staffing. I'm in the middle of the interstate. I think paying attention to the interstate is a little more important than joining the staffing. But at the same time, we don't have enough time to reschedule. So what can we do? We're kind of left with no choice.
From my understanding too, when it comes to CPI, when they look for biological family or look for non-relative placement, they go off of who the children are being removed from, who they suggest, and they don't do any further digging. So like if bio mom says, hey, I have a sister, hey, I have a brother, hey, call my mom, they'll do that. But if bio doesn't say or says, no, I don't have anybody that I want my children to go to, then they don't search.
Yeah,
They
and that's awful because they rather, so, you know, I always ask, you know, bio family this, would you rather have them go to, um, you know, some random stranger's home, or because a lot of times they do that out of, because they're in their feelings, they have some type of personal issue with that individual, that person, I mean, can be an awesome human being, but because of how the parents feeling, they won't tell them. And that's a lot of times I see bio fathers don't get explored. Bio fathers side of the family doesn't get explored. And because again, it's basically whatever the family, or usually the mom tells the CPI, and like you said, that's who they'll go for or go with. But a lot of times it seems like CPI will just kind of throw them anywhere. And then when case management gets them, it's basically like handing a bag of, I don't know, just here you go, handle it, good luck. Because CPIs only have the case for 60 days. Case managers, it's another story.
once you get into termination and then you get into adoptions, that's when the adoption case manager, that's when they put their feelers out for if there is any other biological family, and they really actually do dig and do a search to see if there's somebody else out there that wants that child.
Oh, yeah.
Because but then, you know, on the flip side of things, now you have a foster family that has had this child for over a year or more. Sometimes you have, you know, it's a newborn, or and you have all this time and you love this child and they're terminating rights and you want to adopt. And it's like, I don't understand that part of it. They should look at in the very beginning. Why would you put this
Absolutely. Yeah,
child
why
with a
wait
total
until,
stranger for a year, 18 months, 24 months, and then take them from the only family that they've ever known to put them with somebody, a cousin in California that they've never met before? And it's more trauma. It's re-traumatizing over and
I
over
can't
and
tell you how
over
many
again.
times we sent kids across the state to this state or that state. And again, the kid's been in care for year, 2 years, or even a set number of amount of months. And, you know, hey, we're flying little Susie out. And again, she's going to a whole new state, a whole new family, a whole new environment. And so it's very traumatizing. And like you said, I don't think it's fair to the foster parents either. And that's
When it
kind of
just
what
starts all
happened.
over, it just starts all over again for the child, and children have an amazing way of making things their fault. And their
Yes, I
own
hear all
wrong.
the time, I'm bad. Nobody wants me. They don't love me. I guess I did something wrong. I hear it all the time, and I constantly have to remind these little kids, it's not your fault. Um, And you know, another thing I did want to point out is that speaking with kids about the parents' case plan compliance is inappropriate. I mean, especially when the kids are 7, 8, even 9 years old. I mean, their little brains can't process that. They don't understand, you know. I see a lot of it, even, I mean, bio families and caregivers, foster parents will say, well, mommy's not she's not doing her case plan, she's not taking her drug test. What does an 8-year-old or 9-year-old know about drug tests? I mean, I'm sure they shouldn't even hear that. They shouldn't have to worry about what mommy's doing and what mommy's not doing. They just, I mean, I think if anything, just let them know that they're loved and they're supported regardless of where this case is going. But letting the child know every little move that's going on in this case, it really stresses out the child. And then the caregiver gets upset because the child's acting out and they don't understand why. You just told them that they're not going home, that mommy's not doing what she needs to do. And then they say, oh, it's my fault. You know, I guess I did something wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Mom doesn't love me enough because I wasn't good enough. I'm
Yes,
not good enough to love, and that's why they're not doing what they're supposed to do to get me back.
Exactly. It really, it makes my skin boil when I see people or hear people do this, because the kiddos, the first thing they think is, hey, it's my fault. I'm sorry. They'll be the first ones to apologize, and they have no clue what's even going on. So
What, Jane, what do you think needs to be changed from a case manager perspective? And then also, what do you think needs to be changed on the foster parent side as well?
I mean, caseload. I mean, there's some things that we just can't change. I don't know what has to be done. Um, I honestly don't even know where to start. It would be more beneficial for the kids if case managers, fosters, bios, and whoever, at least, you know, try to come together and work for the kids' best interests. Sometimes parents and bios don't see eye to eye, but I think a lot of times people forget that these parents are not white picket fence parents. These parents are, you know, struggle with their own demons. They've been through a lot, seen a lot, and so they're not the easiest people to work with. I can give you that right now. And sometimes, you know, I've been told off a time or two, but a lot of times the parents will come back and apologize, um, and so, you know, just kind of putting your personal feelings to the side and being the bigger person, and trying to work together, because once, you know, the caregiver's going left, the case manager's going right, the guardian ad litem's going every which way. We get to court and the judge is like, okay, let's just reset it. We'll just come back. Okay, well, that's another 6 weeks. So what's the point? I mean, why, instead of, you know, and there's a lot of times it's communication. Nobody's communicating with each other. A lot of times, you know, we don't even know the caregivers. We don't even know the foster parents. I mean, for one, we can't even get by to see the kiddos. And for two, it's just a lot going on. So I think communication definitely is the starting point. And I don't know, somehow bringing the case managers and fosters and caregivers, so bringing us together somehow. I don't know if we can get that to happen, but that would be the ultimate goal, because
Yeah,
kids
because
sense that.
absolutely. And you know, this, like, it's conversations like this that I think humanizes everyone, right? Because as a foster parent, you know, we sometimes say, oh, case management's the devil, or bio family's the devil, or the other foster parent's the devil. But I think these type of conversations help us to better understand each other and possibly look at it from a different perspective. I do want to give other people a chance, because I know we're running out of time, but Amber, did you have any questions for Jane?
No, I think I asked them on the messenger, but one of them is when these parents are going into court that have mental health or disability, why are they not being represented by the ADA, and is that even available to them?
Honestly, that's more so of a legal question. I am not sure. I know usually when parents come in, they're appointed, obviously an attorney. Half the time, the parents will get 5 different attorneys before even seeing a day in court. I'm not sure. I have seen attorneys for kids with special needs, but I have not seen like I guess ADA attorney or something. That would definitely be something we can look into. I think that would have to start like all the way at the top. I mean, I guess Congress or somebody, because I think that would help a lot with, especially with parents that have learning disabilities or special needs, because a lot of times they don't even understand what the judge is saying. They don't understand their lingo. They don't understand they're pretty much, yes, they consent to it, but do they really understand? No, they're just desperate to get their kids back. And so I think a lot of times it's like, I can't tell you, when we get out of court, they'll call me and, hey, so what just happened? They have no clue what was, because a lot of times they'll use lingo and stuff, and the parents just, obviously, if they can't read or write, how are they going to understand any of that?
Right. And then, so my last question for you would be Have you expressed your concerns with the department? And if you have, then what was their reaction?
Um, no, so a lot of things are kept, you can't really speak on it, and I don't want to say you can't, but it's like, it's hard to say. I don't think anything would really come out of it. Yes, we have mentioned things at, like all staff meetings, but, then again, at meetings like that, it's more so of, hey, case managers, you guys need to do this, you need to pick up on this, you need to step up on that, and it's never, like, hey, you guys are doing a great job, what can we do to fix this? So if we're getting pounded down the entire staffing, why would we speak up and say, hey, well, this is how we feel? Just, I mean, 9 times out of 10, you just get retaliated on. And so, but we have, mentioned it. We talk about it all the time. We're stressed out. I know I am on the, I feel like I'm on the edge. My caseload just keeps going up, keeps going up. Within the last month, I think I've gotten maybe 5 new cases. And a lot of it, one of the biggest problems is there's more promotion going on with case managers than they have. So a lot of case managers are getting promoted to supervisor, but there's nobody there to fill that case manager's position. So all those cases that case manager just had, more than likely will go, get spreaded to the other case managers who already have an extremely high caseload, just so they can be a supervisor over 2, maybe 2 people, 3 people. And so things like that, obviously there's nothing you guys can do for that, but we tried to express our concerns, but it's almost like, yeah, I know, it's just like the 40 hours. How can you work on call, give parents visits? There's a lot of times parents don't even get their 2-hour visits because, hey, how can a case manager do that? Is that really her fault or his fault? No, not when we have to, we have to sit in court. We can't sit in court and be at the visit at the same time. We can't pick Jenny up from school and, be sitting in a staffing at the same time. I mean, sometimes we do. But it's just things like that. Obviously, we need to fix on case management's part. And I'm honest, I don't know where to even start with that. But as far as foster parents, I think it's best if we all come together and somehow figure out a plan, because I mean, if there's no foster parents and no case managers, there's no child welfare. I mean, if everybody stopped today, where would these kids be? What would they do? I'm sure, obviously, they'll probably figure out something, but we're the lifeline to these kiddos.
Absolutely. I definitely appreciate you coming to speak with us tonight. I hope that you come again. I think this was enlightening to hear this perspective from you. Before we do end for tonight, is there anything anyone else had questions on or wanted to quickly ask Jane before we let her go?
I was just wondering, Mark, if you had ran the ideal from the previous weeks by her in regards to maybe a committee of foster parents, bios, and even case managers, so we can figure out, about street teams. Would that help them? That, it seems to me, that would take a big load off case management.
I hadn't run that by her yet. I was just excited for her to join tonight, but I'll definitely follow up and go over those ideas with her, and hopefully she'll continue to join these meetings because she is our first
Yeah,
case.
I definitely, I enjoy talking to you guys, and there's so many things that I'll see on the foster page or whatnot, and I want to say something so bad, and I feel you guys' frustration. I see
Right.
it on both sides. It's like case management, and then it's like, foster parents, and it's like, oh my gosh, I can't stand this parent, or whoever. But we all have a extremely stressful job, and I think that, and I definitely do the community. I've been talking to other foster parents, just trying to think of like, hey, Maybe we should all come together, you know, as a group or whatever, because if we can get on the same page, I think that'll take a lot of the stress off of each other's shoulders. And I don't know, maybe semi-fix this system or start to. It's gonna take a miracle, but maybe we can start there.
It starts with a group like this, of us all coming together, brainstorming together, putting our biases aside, and actually trying to figure out solutions. So again, I just want to thank you very much for being our first case manager to come on here and speak with us about different things. I hope you continue to join in the future and just enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us tonight.
Thank you, and thank you guys so much for taking care of the kiddos. And as long as we stick in this, we can come up with something and come up with a good plan. So I'll
Absolutely.
definitely,
Thank you.
join as much as I can.
All right, I appreciate that. Everybody else, I'm gonna end it for the night. I appreciate everybody joining, and you guys try to stay safe and enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.